everyone, and welcome from wherever you are, whatever part of the world. Is it morning, afternoon, whatever time it is? I welcome each and every one of you. This is a little pop-up today, and I just had the topic on let us reason together on LDRs. And LDRs here are long distance relationship, and it's quite a trending topic, and a lot of people have their says and their thoughts on it. Welcome, welcome. I am in my neighborhood. I'm just walking around. I'm just taking a little exercise. Today it's holiday, some sort of holiday here. I think it's Victoria Day in Toronto. Welcome, welcome, Caribbean girl, Tony. And I'm just walking the neighborhood, and the topic, I needed to talk about it for a while because I myself had been in long distance relationship, one of which was a very didn't work out. And again, it is this sort of relationship is not for the faint heart. And first of all, if you don't know God, and when I say know God, I mean in the sense of the word, like having a relationship with God, it won't work. That's foremost, because the temptations will be there. And two, if you're not ready to commit, it doesn't make sense you trying it. If you're a public facility and you just want to roam, or you're looking for an opportunity, it's not for you. If you have no integrity and you don't know how to be honest, it's also not for you, right? And I just wanted, hi, Caribbean Tony, hope you are doing well today. Welcome, welcome. NDK, I'm outside, I'm outdoors, as you see, I'm walking the neighborhood, and the topic came to mind. And being in one of the kingdom arrangement of a long distance relationship myself, and having one prior that did not work, I just thought, let us share, let us reason together on the topic of long distance relationships. And I welcome each and every one of you. And as I walk, feel free to share your thoughts, your comments, your feeling, and whatever it is. No non-stop welcome. Hi, non-stop. Yes, non-stop welcome. Thank you, Tony. And welcome, everyone. Even those that are in the shadows, I take the opportunity to welcome you as well. Yes, so on the topic of long distance relationships, and as I said prior, being in one now with a kingdom arrangement, and I being in one prior that did not work. So as I would say, and I would continue to say, and I would be talking, and I would welcome everyone, but I would turn the camera so you can see the surrounding, or just, a picture of what you can see. So at this stage, I would try to turn the camera around so you can see, but I'll still see your comments and your discussions, and we would reason. Right, so as I'm saying, let me turn the camera around. Right. So as I'm saying, first and foremost, right? Long distance relationships, they are not for the faint heart. Welcome, Hawaii. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for showing up, my brother. So it's not for the faint heart. You have to be in a situation where God has to lead you to that relationship. It takes a lot of prayer, a lot of supplication, a lot of, your devotion, and you have to ensure it is not, you have to ensure that it is not a person who is willing to roam around, who is not willing to be committed, who is not willing to give me 1 minute while I take a call. Thank you. Welcome everyone. Sorry for that. I just had to take a call. Yes, so as I was saying, long distance relationships are not for the faint hearted. You have to have God first because you need some sort of saving grace. For some people to be committed, you takes a lot of it has to be somebody of your same faith, similar faith, similar commitment, know exactly what they are looking for, and they are in a position, welcome, to settle down and have a serious union. So you ought to be committed. It's not something that you just decide, you know what, I'm going to try it, or I'm going to get into it, and with some sinister motive in mind where I'm just playing that person. I have no integrity, and I'm juggling 2 and 3 relationships. Even if I am married, I'm a toxic person. I have a reprobate mind. Yes, thank you. How I have a reprobate mind because I had that experience prior, right? That person was highly toxic, the love bombing, and so, but because I felt I knew them for like almost 20 plus years, I thought, knowing that person, had a relationship prior, and they coming back was a gain. But I can tell you, not all the time somebody comes back into your life, it's a gain. No, it's sometime a loss, and then you should just leave them to on their way and let them remain lost, right? Because I can tell you that, that individual had no integrity, and not that I knew it up front, but based on how, what I was told and how they came across, I thought, whoa, that individual has surely matured, and that individual, is serious about life and commitment and relationship. But it was all a manipulative game, and there was no seriousness at all. That individual was just having a time, even it's a mature person, even it's somebody you would think that in a situation where they are ready to commit, and in a sincere and good way. But as I would say, this is not always the case, and we need like godly discernment. And since sometimes you would see the little flags, the little red, or the little orange turning amber turning to red, and you would say, well, I guess I don't want to look into that too much, because it could be a situation that it's my fault, or it could be a situation where, I'm reading into things too much. But when you find people that has no integrity, and they are lying, and they are bent on being manipulative, there is nothing, I tell you, except the intervention of God and except deliverance. And you have to want it. That's how it's going to work. Or else you have to, seek God. And good morning, Lady J. And you have to seek his ways in order to come out of it. And when you come out of it, not everybody come out sane, right? Because there are times, a lot of investment is made. You do a lot of things and go the extra mile in that relationship. There are things that, you are committed. So you are thinking, of course, when it's called for investments, you would invest because it's your marital spouse. But I can tell you, eventually, the mask slips. Eventually, it falls down and things tear apart. So long distance is not just anybody goes, it's okay. I'm working. You have to be 2 committed individuals. You have to have a prayer life. You have to have integrity. You have to have communication. You have to be mature, right? There ought to be some level, there ought to be love, of course. And when I speak of love, And I don't normally speak of just the emotional, romantic aspect of love, not the eros love. When I speak of love, I'm speaking of the love of God, right? For you tell us love is kind, love is patient, love is not boastful, right? And he gave us the conditions in Corinthians and what is love, and this sort of love, that we ought to have and that ought to be present, right? Lady J, hope you are doing well. Of course, Lady J, and see me. Of course, so Lady J, I had, and why, it was long distance for me, but I knew the person prior, right? So after a fail of another relationship, that person, not knowing they were on assignment, came to my life with all the great ambitions and all the great talks and all the great plans. And I thought I asked all the right and pertinent questions. I would have thought that, I was asking and probing, and getting all the right answers. I really thought that that person was at that stage of their life, mature and willing to, commit as they claim with all the love bombing and all the, the caring talks and thoughts. So I sincerely thought that this was the case. Nobody's, I'm trying to get cat in bag and you don't know what you're getting. But I really, really thought, and this person knew I had a prayer life by then, and he was encouraging me. Oh, God said that you have to pray and, pray and this is it. And I sincerely, wolf in sheep clothing. That's who he was. So I was, thinking, okay, this man really, wants to change, and he's making a decision to move forward. He reckoned the errors of his ways, and he's willing, to go in a sincere way and receive an opportunity. We even spoke of, relocation and what's your plan. And listen, and I tell people all the time, do not blame yourself when you, in good intention, went out with all good plans and intended purposes, and the other person was not. Do not be ashamed, and do not blame yourself for it. And the reason why I would say that is because you going in, asking all the right questions, asking all the pertinent questions, getting the answers that you think is right, but what the person is doing, they are bent on being tricked. They're coming in with tricks. They're coming in being manipulative. And you would take them at their word, because you think, why would an adult or why would a normal human being be so diabolic or be so tricky? But as I would tell you, and looking at the words from the word of God, it says, for man heart is evil and desperately wicked. Who can know it? And it takes only God himself to know a person, to know their intentions, and show it to you in a real and direct way when we pray about it. And also we have to seek wisdom, because for me, there are a lot of things that you would see and observe, and then you would point it out, and then would be like, no, this is not what it is. Probably you from your past, you're coming around like that because of what you went through in the past. You probably, and I realized, yes, in relationship, be it spouse or whatever, I don't just point fingers and say, okay, that person did this. I also look at where I can change and where I can make a difference. So if someone point out, hey, like you said this or you did this, I do not see I'm too big. That's why you seek God. Yes, that's why, you're right. And whenever we don't seek God, Lady J, we come up wanting, we come up with problems that, that we could have avoided, as I would say. But as I would say, we also have to acknowledge and we also have to give ourselves grace, right? Because just how I have forgiven them, remove the bitterness and whatever, how I felt hurt, and just I had to release it and let God take it and get rid of it, just so I had to do for myself. And sometimes, we and I look at my life and I look at the situations and I look at the trials and the triumphs, and I say, God, I thank you, because if it wasn't for this, I would not have been able to do X and Y. And if it wasn't for this, I would not be where I am today. And if it wasn't for this, I would not be able to testify, and I would maybe falsely judge a person when they claim like, oh, I suffer this or I suffer that. So for me, it's not that I went out looking for it, and hurt is never easy, right? When somebody, rob you of time and investment, and a lot of things in life, it's not an easy fleet, and it's not something that we should just take and say, well, oh, I learned from it. Now I look back, right? Things happen definitely. So now that I look at it and I have the time to look back and introspect, I realize, okay, that happened for a reason. It was through that I am now able to, to touch on the topic. I am now able to walk through, life without shame and, without condemnation within myself. I now realize, hey, I gave it my best, right? But that person lacked integrity. That person wasn't mature, because age is not maturity. And I am just, seeing that daily, right? Because you could be with a man in 58 and he in a man body, but it's a boy mentality. And you could have an individual that is 45 and is so mature, right? So age, what I thought of, it does not equate to maturity. And because somebody may at first, shower you with good thoughts and good, telling you good things, this is not love. Like, anybody could tell you anything. Anybody could pick up things from any means. You have no control over. No, I had no control over that person's mind. So that's why I learned to forgive myself. And that's where I learned to give myself grace, because I am not in control of what that individual, after almost 6 years, have been doing, the kind of lifestyle, the kind of, no accountability, the kind of things that that person did. I have no control over that. This is things that he chose to do. This is things that he, willingly set out to do. This is things that he felt he had a right to do, and with no accountability. And at the end of the day, when God showed me, like, we cannot walk together except we are in agreement, and I decided to walk away, it was like, oh, why are you doing this? Why are you treating me this way? Why but God is watching.